We're here today presenting to you guys what can happen if you choose to make the decisions of drinking and driving, getting high and driving, texting and driving, anything that can impair your judgment of driving. There is a negative impact from it. To me, it's just a very selfish act. We should think about our family, how it affects them, how it affects the other people's family, how it affects our friends, how it affects all those around us when we decide to get in the driver's seat of the vehicle and not give 100% at all times. Not only does it affect your friends, your family, your co-workers, it also affects the first responders, those that have to come on scene and work this. It's not something that we can just shut off in our brains. What you're about to witness is the scene of a two-vehicle collision. A young man, his girlfriend, and best friends were headed home after a party where they had been doing drugs, drinking. Everyone at the party told this young man that it was not a good idea for him to drive home. Unfortunately, he did not listen. He kept insisting that he was the best driver, that he had never had an accident, so there was no way anything could happen. They had no control over him. He left, dragging his friends along with him. While driving home, this young man was so intoxicated he was confused on which side of the road he should even drive on, but he continued anyways in the wrong lane, not knowing what was waiting for him on the other side of the hill. That is when his life and all the others forever changed. He smashed into a car head on, and it was too late to make any second decisions. The damage was done.
Probably when I seen it. You know, I was in my 20s till I finally got it. Drinking and driving, I thought it was a game. I thought it was fun. You know, me and my best friend of mine, we grew up together from the time we were in diapers till we were in our 20s. And we made a sport out of it, you know. It ain't never gonna happen to us. But I still remember that morning, waking up, and I had several missed calls. And I called one of my buddies back, and I was like, hey, man, what's going on? Why'd you call me? And he said, man, Jason's gone. And I said, gone? Where'd he go? No, man, he passed away last night. Him and a couple friends were in side by side, and they ended up flipping it, and he had to sit on a brick, and 5 of my friends tried to revive him. You know, he was a father, he was a son, he was a brother, and now it's just an empty hole now. He chose to drink and drive, and then he left an empty hole in our lives, you know? And you think, I'll get over that one day, but then you find yourself picking up your phone to call him. You know, your kid does something or something happens, and you just want to tell your best friend, hey, you know, but then you realize that's never going to happen again. His mom, think about how his mom feels. She wants to call her son, see how her son's day is. She won't ever know. She can't talk to him again. You know, he chose to make the wrong decision. All I'm asking you is that this could save one of y'all from drinking and driving. Hopefully it saves all of y'all from drinking and driving. But if it saves one of y'all, then this was for a purpose. Thank y'all for coming out today.
Retired Deputy Sheriff from Los Angeles County. This is Stella. She's a therapy dog. She's trained, registered, and insured to visit places like your high school here. I retired 6 years ago. During my career, I arrested 1,945 people. About 1,000 were for DUI. And when I was a deputy sheriff at the end of my career, I was already running this nonprofit, going to high schools on my days off and talking about teen driver safety. We had this big crash one night on the boulevard. There's 4 lanes, 2 lanes in each direction. It was 9 p.m. and as I was arriving at the crash scene, it was a mess. There were cars in the road. There were police, fire, ambulance, everything. And my buddy called me, a high school teacher from the local high school, Rich Heffernan. And I said, Rich, I can't talk. I'm at a big crash, and I hung up on him. So we're investigating, and I'm doing the DUI field sobriety test in the middle of the road, and with the suspect, a DUI driver. And he had come down the boulevard. There were 3 cars legally parked, and a high school boy named Sean was getting out of a car, and this guy just plowed into him, caved in his chest. And when I was doing the field sobriety test, I looked over on the sidewalk, and I saw my friend, the high school teacher, Rich Heffernan, standing there watching me, and I was thinking, why would he be looking at me at 9 p.m. instead of being at home relaxing? And I thought, well, that's weird. And so I ended up arresting the driver, and I took him to the hospital. We did a blood test. He was over the limit for DUI. It was 0.13. That's the equivalent of about 6 or 7 drinks. And he got arrested. He ended up going to prison for vehicular manslaughter. The young man who I saw died, the high school student. My friend, Rich Heffernan, who was looking at me, that was his uncle. They were a very close-knit family. It was almost as if that was his son. So he was watching me do field sobriety tests with the suspect who he thought had probably killed his nephew. So it was very emotional for the whole community. So please be careful. I passed out some keychains. I also volunteer for Operation Lifesaver. We have train tracks all over East Texas. Please be careful around trains. And thank you.
About this, really take it serious. I know you got prom coming up. So when you guys go to prom, before you decide to get in the car drunk, or you text, or you get high, or whatever you do, we're all high school students. We're not oblivious to it. Just be wise, make smart decisions, and like I said, go home tonight, think about it, and be safe, because we don't want to see you on this side of it.
Before we dismiss, we will be having a memorial service tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the auditorium for the deceased. So we will all participate in that. It will be open casket. It will be sombering. For those that have been affected by drunk drivers, we take it personal. I've been hit by a drunk driver. My wife was pregnant, and that was a very bad situation. And so luckily we didn't lose our life, but it had effects long term. And so remember that.